everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Okay, today is going to be super cool. We are going to take a look at a new turntable. After all, this is Record-ology, so every once in a while we should at least look at a record player, right? So today we're going to look at this cool new Jensen, sort of an all-in-one turntable. It's got a cassette player. It's a very unique design though, so I'm really excited to check it out, see exactly how it performs, how it stacks up. We'll get a thorough testing, and then if we recommend it, we'll give you a link in the description below where you can buy your very own. But first, let's unbox it and review it. You're not going to want to miss this.
Welcome to Record-ology.
Today is super exciting. We are going to review our first Jensen product. Now, Jensen is a brand of Spectra merchandising. And just like Studebaker is, they're a known brand, and I'm really excited to get into this. It is a turntable with Bluetooth in and out. It also has a cassette player in the side, and just looks really, really cool. Great retail packaging. I love this stuff. It really looks good. Let's see some of the features here. Bluetooth transmit, that's going to be a huge feature. So many times I get questions from people on turntables that have Bluetooth connectivity where you connect your phone to it, which this one will do too. They're like, well, can I send the audio to my Bluetooth headphones or my Bluetooth speaker? And the answer is no. So with this, you can do that. So that's a cool feature. I like the styling, and I also like the fact it's got the cassette player. So it's not really an all-in-one, but it's a 3-in-1. You got Bluetooth, cassette, and vinyl. So we'll check it out. It's got a 3-speed turntable. And yeah, so let's get right into it. Super excited to see what we got here. Okay, looks like pretty simple packaging. Simple but effective. You'll notice, good packaging 101. You've got a gap between the product on all sides so that when it gets dropped and bounced and jounced, that the product is protected. So, okay, so we got our manual here, assumedly. So let's see. Yeah. Product manual, this is the JTA-245. It's got a DC power supply, so it does have the wall wart power supply. We'll set that aside. Besides that, the packaging is pretty simple. You got end blocks, some anti-static wrap, and that's pretty much all there is to the packaging. So let me go ahead and get it unwrapped here, and we'll take a closer look. All right, this is truly well packaged here. Instead of tearing into it, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm actually going to slide it off the way I should be doing. I've seen Jensens a lot, and I like the designs. I really do. They got a really cool look to them. So this is going to be an off-the-shelf turntable platter mechanism, although I've never seen one with the white rubber nibs right there. That's kind of interesting. But this is a Skywind type mechanism. And we'll go from there and see. It's got a typical 45 adapter. Upgrade that if you want to. It's got the cueing lever, 3 speeds. I'm just going to hold it up so you can see it. This will be quicker and easier. So it does have the cueing lever, which is great. It's got the spring adjusted counterbalance. So I can just tell you by looking at this, it'll track at about 5.5 grams, so no worries there. It's got the auto stop on and off switch, 3 speeds, and yeah, no problem playing 78s on this. It's not going to damage the records, and the records won't damage the stylus. It is a micro groove stylus, so you're going to get the best sound if you upgrade that stylus to a 3mm wide groove stylus that's designed for that. But that's easily done, very affordable. Let's take a look at the stylus itself and see if it has a plastic cantilever or a metal cantilever, and see if we can identify. It's probably a ruby stylus. And again, interesting comments out there lately. So some people refer to these as ceramic styli. It's close. Ceramic refers to the cartridge technology. We've done shows about that before. But the stylus isn't ceramic. The stylus is either diamond, which is the standard. That's sort of the gold standard for a material. Even the super high-end ones primarily use diamond. And I'm going to get all these caveats, but and then entry level can either use diamond, which are cheap. I mean, it sounds expensive, diamond, whatever. But in truth, a diamond stylus, replacement for this, $3, $4, $5, it's no big deal. You just look on Amazon. But make sure you get the exact size, because there are variations even with this similar type of mechanism. But anyway, a lot of them ship with ruby or sapphire, which basically comes from the same stone. That's why I always say ruby or sapphire. It's reddish, so I would tend to believe it's more towards the ruby side of things. But it's not gonna sound any different. It's not gonna track any different than a diamond one. It's just going to last less long. So they say somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 plays on a sapphire ruby stylus sides of a record, 100 plays or so, versus about 1,000 on a diamond. But ultimately, you just go until it doesn't sound good, then you upgrade it. Okay, as you can see, we have a metal cantilever, which is good. And due to the red tint of the stylus, I'm going to say this is either ruby or sapphire. So no problem, just upgrade it, in the near future, and you'll be ready to go to a diamond one. Easy enough. Okay, let's take a little cursory tour around the outside edge. So here is the front panel. I love the color, sort of this like champagne color. And the knob is plastic, and so is this selector switch. Aux input, that's cool. So now it becomes 4-in-1. So yeah, it is an all-in-one. You can do lots of different stuff. It does have a headphone jack, which can also function as an audio output to another stereo system. I don't know if there's any jacks on the back. We'll see in a minute. I love the speaker grill just by feeling it. Never do this at home, kids, but there's 2 openings, one there and one there. So I'm not sure if it has 2 speakers or not. Continue around this side, we've got the cassette player. It's a side-loading cassette player, which I think these are cool. If you've never had one of these, you may be like, how does it work? How do you control it? Basically, I've never actually seen one of these buttons labeled like that before. That's kind of cool. But basically, the way it works is this button has different positions. You push it all the way in to eject the tape, and it'll ka-chunk the tape out. Or halfway into fast forward. It's a one direction motor. So you can fast forward it or you can eject it. And it automatically plays when you insert the tape. So how do you rewind? We just flip the tape over, fast forward it, flip it back over. We grew up in the 80s. We were used to this. We had one direction Walkman knockoffs and stuff. And we had no problem doing that whatsoever. So it's no big deal for many of us. Let me go ahead and secure the tone arm here. I am going to rotate this around. Okay, this is really cool. So look on the back here. Yes, you do get line outputs to connect it to a larger stereo system, but you've got a pitch adjustment. That is cool. That is rare on this type of a turntable. That is super, super neat. And then a 5-volt, 2-amp power supply, or where you connect the power supply right there. So, and there's the label on the back, the JTA-245. So really, really cool. I'm going to do an FCC ID lookup on this and see who the OEM is for this product. I always like to know that. I think it's interesting. Ocean Star Electronics. Never heard of them. Filed by Jackie Chan himself way back in 2012. Very interesting. Now let's take a look at an internal photograph they provided. And as you can see, it is pretty hollow. No huge surprise there. But it does indeed have 2 speakers. The plinth material is cool. You can see sort of the construction here. It looks like these individual veneer pieces are attached, but it's really done well. I mean, yeah, that's obviously a veneer, but at the same time, I feel like it's quality. I think they've done a good job. So, all right, let's go ahead and get it connected and give it a listen. Okay, so I'm going to start with a cassette tape. Why not, right? So I'm going to switch this to tape/phono. I'm going to insert Michael Jackson. Let's give it a listen. Now, let me preface this by saying it's really not fair to do this because sometimes equipment needs a little bit of ramp up time or warm in time. So right off the factory, the grease may not be lubricated in the right places. No, I'm not making excuses for anything, but it's the actual fact. If you play with a turntable, it may sound a little goofy right off the bat or a tape player. Chances are it'll get better over time. Are we playing? I was on the wrong input. So half push in to fast forward. Obviously this stuff I can't play too much right off the bat. I've actually been working on getting some custom records made so we can do more demos and stuff. And yeah, I can make a tape of YouTube music easily. I've done it with CDs. But inevitably I just end up grabbing a real tape. So the sound out of the speaker, based on what I've heard in these 4 seconds that audio has been coming out of it, it's adequate. I mean, it's good for like sit it down and listen to it, or have it in the background while you're doing the dishes or cooking or something. It's not going to blow your mind. There's nothing wrong with it. It sounds fine. I've heard worse speakers, heard better speakers. I love this grill material. Very cool. Actually, the tape mechanism is impressive because I'm not hearing any of the typical distortions that you often hear on an entry level tape deck, even right out of the gate. Like I said, sometimes the Victrola took quite a while before it evened out and it didn't have any wow and flutter. I'm not hearing anything like that. Cool. Awesome. Well, that passes the test. Now let's actually test the record player part of the record player. I am going to start with, I'm going to do some odd things with the records today. Let's spice it up a little bit. So this is going to be a 33 RPM record, and it is a 7-inch. Always helps if you unclip it right there. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can get a little bit different something to look at. Bear with me here. Okay. Cueing lever. And if you have skipping issues, and a lot of times this happens, you don't see them on my shows as much because I don't listen to a lot of pop music, but you know, bass drops, a lot of pop music, sometimes you have skipping and people are like, it's skipping, what do I do? And don't tape a penny to the head, don't tape a penny to that. A penny puts this at, you know, nearly 9 grams of downforce, and 5.5 is as high as you want to go. Records allegedly are designed to handle up to 9 grams of downforce, but don't go in that area. Don't put pennies on the top. Yes, it would physically help it hold down. There's a much simpler solution. So when you lower the stylus down, I'm going to turn the volume down while I explain this. Okay, apparently I turned it too down because it turned off. But if you're having skipping, 9 times out of 10, this tone arm rest right here just needs to be pushed a little further down out of the way. Sometimes just by lowering the release there, it doesn't lower down out enough, so it's kind of like hanging on the edge, and that's what's happening there. So if you have a record that's got a little warp issue like this, or your platter has a little wobble in it, although this one's pretty flat. Actually, though, yeah, this is a warped record. The platter is actually pretty steady. So anyway, yeah, just push gently down on that after you lower, and that'll, 9 times out of 10, that'll really help. So anyway, let's listen to the record itself. A little dusty. My Avengers record. That's not uncommon to have a little bit of hum like that. It's like a 60 cycle hum. That's coming from power, so you get that hum a little bit. In television broadcasts, we had this all the time. So we would use these things called ground lifters, and you would plug your audio through there, and it would take the ground off, and therefore eliminate that. But let's listen to a little bit more. And again, when the music's on, you're not going to even notice it. Here she goes. Nice slow descend. That's good. Cool. I like it. And if I turn that off, it shuts down the record. This is a fully manual turntable, although not fully because it does have an auto stop. So I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a semi-automatic because it won't auto return. That's kind of the benchmark for what they consider semi-automatic. Now, I told you we're going to go for some weird stuff. So we're going to listen to this Madonna record. We've had it on the show a couple of times. It's a 45, but it's a 12-inch 45. Not going to go into the whole history of these again, but let's go ahead and give her a listen. Literally. And in 15 years, when the stylus hits, that's actually a good thing. You want a slow descent. That's not bad, but it takes a nice long while. Let's see if it skips. And again, push down right there if it is skipping. Sound is clean. I don't hear any wow and flutter, which, you know, it's pretty common to have wow and flutter on an entry-level device. I mean, I've heard more full-range speakers on units that have built-in speakers, but that's really my only, not even a gripe, but something to point out. But it's got a headphone jack, so you can connect it to a stereo or external speakers that way, and it's got an actual, you know, connection on the back where you can put RCA connections to another stereo system. All right, let's listen to this. This is cool. This is cool. I've been waiting for a good opportunity to show you this. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of the band Status Quo. It's an English rock band. They've been around since the 60s, and what's cool about Status Quo And one of my good friends that I've actually met on here introduced me to these guys. And check out the label. That is so cool. They've gone through different styles of music. So, you know, their 60s sound is completely different than their 70s or their 80s. This is 80s era. Or even today, because they're still around. These guys are amazing. So check out Status Quo. Really cool stuff. So this also is 30. This is 33 RPM, so I'm going to put it up to 33. And we're going to go ahead and drop our stylus and give it a little Status Quo test. This will be cool. Love these guys. Really become a true favorite. And I don't listen to a lot of rock, but these guys are really, really good. Just skip through it a couple different places. Man, I wish I could play more. Okay. Great sound. And again, they have so many different sounds. So many different sounds. They're so diversified. Okay, so this sounds good. I'm actually really impressed. This is cool. Not that I didn't expect it to be nice, but there's a certain level for an entry-level product, and this exceeded that. So yeah, really, really cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to test the Bluetooth out. So I'm not going to test the Bluetooth in or the aux in because that's going to sound, you know, as good as that. So we've already demonstrated what that is. But what I really want to do is I want to demonstrate the Bluetooth out capability. So I'm going to put it into, I'm totally making this up as I go along. I have no idea if this is the right procedure. If not, we'll look in here. But let's put the speaker in pairing mode. Hey Google, pair Bluetooth device.
All right, to connect, open Bluetooth settings and look for the device called kitchen speaker.
Okay guys, and with that we are ready to begin streaming our Bluetooth out of this device to our Bluetooth speaker. By the way, it'll only work with the cassette tape and the vinyl record. It will not work with the aux in, or I guess that'd be it. So you have to use either cassette or vinyl. That's the way that you can use the Bluetooth out functionality. But here we go. Speaker's a ways away, so it's not going to sound super close, but here we go. So there you go, guys. It all depends, of course, on the quality of your external Bluetooth speaker. This is just a Google Home Mini, so it's functional, but it's not going to be super rich sounding. But pair this with a higher end Bluetooth speaker, and you've got a really winning combo there. So this is really cool. I'm surprised. The quality, actually, this is great. Happily surprised. Jensen, you know, before putting their name on it, apparently did their homework and partnered with a good OEM, has good quality standards. Even if they're using common, you know, parts such as the Skywind type mechanism, you know, there's going to be a yield of quality units versus, you know, ones that don't make the cut. So OEM designs work fine as long as that quality control is in place, which in this case, it looks like it really, really is. So this is a winner. Definitely highly endorsing this one. Going to go ahead and put a link in the description below where you can purchase yours. Also, tell me in the comments what you think of it. It's super compact as well. So I feel like this would be a good fit for an office or even a kitchen or just a small space in general. If you want to add records to your life, but you don't want to go, you know, redo everything that you've already invested in terms of CDs or streaming or whatever, but you just want to do some records from time to time, this would be a great unit as well. And if this is where you want to go and this is where it ends with you, more power to you, because this has a lot of functionality in a very small package. So super cool. Okay guys, that was awesome. Very, very cool. If you want to snag one, links in the description below. But more important than that, guys, thank you so much for being there. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. I very much appreciate it. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today. Happy record hunting. We will see you tomorrow.